Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, I'm an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I have the most wonderful job. I'm so blessed I get to do this work. I've been doing it full time since 2006. And my offerings include one-on-one angel sessions, soul mentoring, and a variety of classes designed to inspire your spirit. And late last year, I introduced my Earth Angels Oracle deck. So I have created a beautiful Oracle deck that you can bring into your life to receive messages from the angels with ease and joy and lots of love. And you can learn more about all of this at my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can also sign up for my mailing list. Now, there are two different places you can sign up for my list. At the top of my homepage, you can sign up for my regular mailing list, and you will hear all about my offerings. And further down on the page, there's a place you can sign up for my daily inspiration email blast, and you'll receive an inspiring email from me every weekday. I also post regularly over on Facebook at Illuminating Souls. So lots of ways that we can connect, but for now, the angels and I are gathering together to create this sweet, light-infused sanctuary where you can receive love, and hopefully come into a place of replenishment. So for those of you who have been listening for a long time, you know that this podcast weaves together two of my favorite forms of self-care, which include connecting with the angels and listening to a sleep podcast. You know, I love to talk about sleep. I love to contemplate sleep. I think sleep is really cool. You know, our bodies are wired that we go into this place of incubation or dormancy or restfulness. And we go off into the dreamland, and our body replenishes, as does our mind. And I think I've always loved bedtime. I mean, I'm sure I went through that stage as a kid where I didn't want to go to bed when someone told me to. But aside from that, I've always really loved bed. Bed is a good thing for me anyways. And I love that time of day when my body starts getting tired and I know that I'm moving towards bedtime, because it feels like I've lived another day here on planet Earth. I've done what I can. Hopefully I've enjoyed myself. If I haven't, then I'm glad that the day is over, right? I'm either really grateful I've had a lovely day, and if the day's been not so lovely, I'm glad it's over. Bedtime creates this very sweet portal where we get to sort of declare a day complete and hopefully wake up in the morning replenished. You know, at the University of Santa Monica, where I went to school, they teach this tool called the bedtime intention, with the philosophy being that time right before we go to bed is very potent. And it is a wonderful time for our prayers and to set intentions so that while we're on the astral realm, we can heal and clear and restore. So one of the ways you can use your bedtime intention is to ask the angels or God to help clear something for you, to bring healing to a situation, to bring you inspiration. And what I love about this invitation is it means we're not using that time right before we go to bed to just stew in whatever we are working through. It's one of the things I've really come to love about listening to a sleep podcast is it keeps me from replaying the day or keeping company with my worries or whatever is happening in my mind. It gives my mind a place to refocus, which is why I make this for you. So the bedtime intention is really a lovely way to place a gentle focus upon your consciousness when you are getting ready to drift off to sleep. And listen, you don't have to do this with any specific ritual. You just be you. You just bring this forward in whatever way resonates for you the most. As for me, I usually forget to set a bedtime intention unless I really, really need help with something. But, I'm with the angels all the time, and so I'm sure they know. They know what I need help with better than I do. And I do listen to a sleep podcast or an audiobook every night as I'm going to sleep. Right now I'm sort of in between sleep podcasts. And the Sleepy Bookshelf, which I love, she is reading one of the Anne of Green Gables books. It's a later book, and I just can't get into it. So she's starting a new book, I think next week. I don't know what it is yet, and I'm really hoping it's something I will love. I have gone back and re-listened to her reading of Heidi, which is very, very sweet. And the thing I'm listening to right now is a book called Middlemarch. It's one of these, old meaning the 1800s. I don't mean ancient. Late 1800s. Fictional book with tons of characters. And I have no idea what is going on in this book. I'm really lost. I thought we were starting off with a book about two sisters. One who really wanted to assert her independence, but that wasn't really available to her unless she married a man who allowed her independence. And so she's getting ready to marry this older man who is in the church somehow. Honestly, I'm so lost in this book. And every chapter is about new people, and it's probably because I keep falling asleep. But then I try to go back and listen again, and I've really just surrendered to being completely lost in this book. So I just keep letting it play. Because I'm going to sleep anyways, right? So I don't need to know what's happening. It's just there's going to be some characters talking about something. And I just listen so I can go to sleep. My bar is really low about what I need to help me go to sleep these days, which is good. Now, I'm hoping that this podcast is going to be far more delightful for you. That you will have some sense of what I'm talking about, but won't feel any need to stay awake for the episode. That would be awesome. So, as I record this, it is early morning, and the sun is just starting to come up. It's still kind of pre-dawn, dawn hours, so it is a lovely time to record this for you. And you might have noticed I have posted a few replays in a row. I really have been planning on recording more episodes, but I have just been kind of off in a creative fog, which has been wonderful. But every morning when I try to come to the microphone, something catches my attention, like, a crow with a shiny object. I've been working on a creative project, and I sit down in front of my computer planning on plugging in the microphone, and I go down some kind of rabbit hole. And the next thing I know, it's 2 hours later, and my preference is to record these early in the morning because the traffic noise isn't as much. And so I'm so proud of myself because I'm recording this right now for you. I was supposed to start a half an hour earlier, but alas, the rabbit hole was very magnetic this morning, but I did manage to break free so that we could have this time together. So I invite you to get comfortable and cozy in whatever way works best for you. And let's take some nice deep breaths in and out as we gently call ourselves forward into the heart of God. And I'm going to call the angels in even though they are already here. I love sharing this ritual with you. Beautiful, beautiful angels on high, I invite you to join us here. And I ask that you cultivate a beautiful, sweet, sacred space where we can come together in the light, and this light flows to each of the beloveds listening. Angels, I ask that you help lift what feels like a burden. I ask that you bring clarity and joy and love and ease. And angels, I ask for blessings of healing and goodness. And dear ones, just take some more nice deep breaths in, allowing the love to flow to you now. You would think receiving love would be the easiest thing, but the angels remind us that on the earth plane, especially those of us who are light workers, right, that we are here to bring more love into this world, it's easier for us to give love than to receive it. So the angels and I invite you to receive the love that is flowing to you. Just imagine it filling your heart area. Allow yourself to imagine the loving presence of your angels who have loved you since before you were born. And know that you are loved and you are worthy of this love. And you are a blessing. And you are wondrous. And it is truly our joy and our blessing to be here with you now. So just breathe gently, allowing your body to relax as best you can. Allowing this love to travel to every cell of your body and every thought in your mind and every emotion in your heart. Your angels, they are holding the light with you and for you. They are praying with you and for you. So just breathe as best you can, allowing yourself to receive their support. They already know the prayers of your heart. They already know what is in your spirit. And the angels say to rest well. Do your best to rest well, beloved soul. You have done enough for this day. And now it is your time to come into restfulness. The angels say, we will watch over you. And just breathe. The angels say, beloved one, you are so deeply loved. So we invite you to drift off to sleep, knowing that this love is all around you. And just breathe. So cozy on up and snuggle on in, beloved ones. And you rest. And while you rest, we're going to move on into story time. So for story time, I thought I would do some rambling, little rambles. Good thing about a sleep podcast is rambling is an acceptable form of entertainment, in my book anyways. If you're listening, I hope you agree with me. So I thought I would share with you just a little bit about what's been going on and see where it takes us. So it has been a couple of weeks since I've recorded an episode, and that feels really strange. The last new episode I recorded was my ode to sweatshirts, which I have to say really delighted me. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I enjoyed making it for you. And then I was planning on recording more episodes, but Wes and I had to go out of town for 2 or 3 days, I guess. And it was fine. It wasn't a bad trip or anything like that. But as I've shared with you before, I don't travel well anymore. We were just going somewhere locally. He had to attend a conference and we drove down. It was about a 2.5 hour drive from here, and we were going to stay in a hotel for a couple of days. And what happens to me about travel is I get overwhelmed the week before we go, and I keep hoping the trip is going to get canceled for some reason. And then I finally have to come into acceptance that we are actually going, and then I'm crabby, and then we go, and I can't wait to come home. I don't know when I became this version of me. I used to love to go places. My mom used to laugh and say, someone would invite you, Laurel, and your bag would be packed before the phone call was over. I used to love to go places. And in theory, I love to go places. Let's meet in Paris. In theory, sounds amazing. The reality of me, though, would be colossally overwhelmed by it. And I wonder if it's because our home, the energy here is so beautiful and everything is where I want it to be. And I know what's in the cabinets, and I don't have to deal with a lot of, unexpected new things. Has anyone else gone through this where you used to love to travel and now you don't want to go anywhere? Like, I'm great on a day trip, happy to go on a day trip. I want to sleep in my own bed at the end of the day. So even though the trip was only for a few days, it seemed like it took me out of circulation for about a week. And then the other thing that kept me from recording the episodes is this rabbit hole I alluded to earlier. I am putting in the investigational work to perhaps open a print-on-demand Etsy store with some of the artwork I'm creating. And I'm a researcher by nature. I have Mercury and Gemini, and I need to know everything about something before I get started. And I've been mesmerized by this. So I have been spending days researching different print-on-demand companies, their processes, creating gorgeous artwork in Midjourney, ordering samples, and there's a lag time between when you order the samples and they actually come in. So I make more designs and order more samples. So that's been happening, and then I'm really I don't know why this feels hard to me, but then there's the setting up of the Etsy store, which has me overwhelmed. You'd think that that would be in my wheelhouse, and maybe it is. I'm just making more out of it than it needs to be. So that's what I've been doing with my early mornings. I don't mean to. I mean to record an episode. But then I think, oh, let me just look up this one thing. I don't know about you. Remember those, what was it? Was it the Dorito commercial? Some chip snacky thing. You can't eat just one. Somebody will have to remind me which one that was. That's how I am when I'm like, I'm just going to look up one thing. It's never one thing. It's an hour later. And I did that this morning. I said to Wes, I'm going to record right now. He's like, okay, I'll be quiet, because he goes to work in the morning. And I looked up one thing. Before you knew it, I was designing a garment, and it wasn't turning out right. And then I went into Photoshop to change the design. And I finally had to say, Laurel, stop. Record the episode. You'll be pleased that you did. And I'm pleased that I'm here with you. I have the whole day to design stuff. But I also have to say how lovely it is to feel inspired and engaged by something. You know, when something is delightful. And for me, when my curiosity is piqued. I think I've shared this with you before, that I'm working with a therapist every once in a while, and I was struggling with something, and he said, what would happen if you approached this with a sense of curiosity? I love that wisdom, because for me, when my curiosity is piqued, I'm pretty powerful. Like, I want to know my answer. When my curiosity is up, I need to know. So I think curiosity might be one of my superpowers. You know, when I want to figure something out, I go for it. So I've been having a lot of fun. So even though I haven't been recording episodes, I have been creating. And perhaps it will lead me to creating something for you. I'm not positive yet. If I sound a little bit ambiguous, it's because I'm still in the messy beginning of something. And I don't quite know how everything is going to coalesce. So that's been happening. Another ramble is about some pieces of art I have been creating in Midjourney. You know, this marks a year since I started on Midjourney. I had tried Midjourney out before, but at the end of January of 2023 is when I signed up for Midjourney, because I had wanted to create my Oracle deck. Now, when I started using Midjourney was in its 4th version, so 4.0. Later in the year, they came out with 5.0, and now they're at 6.0. And the progression of the AI is astounding. It's a remarkable development. It took me like 2 minutes to come to that word development. I just sat here. I will have edited out that pause, so you will have not heard my long pause. I'm trying to even think of what to call AI. It is a profound leap forward for humanity. It's as profound as when the internet became available to us. I don't know how many of you are of the age stage that you remember the world before the internet and after it. It's like the world before we had smartphones or cell phones at all, and the world after it. Well, AI is like the world before the internet, and now we have the internet. we didn't have AI, we now have AI. And I know that Midjourney is very controversial. And I will say, I have been creating artwork I have never seen before. One of the things that I am so enchanted by right now are these glorious images of older women, elderly women, with all the beautiful wrinkles, right? And their hands, and they have angel feathers, and they are so alive, so remarkable, so human. They are glorious. And the best way I can describe my experience of this is this way. Have you ever discovered that you are deficient in something like vitamin D or vitamin B, and whether it's your practitioner or physician or someone says, you should try taking some vitamin D and you'll feel better, and you take this little pill for a couple of days and all of a sudden you feel better and you didn't even know you were missing something, but once that thing is there, you feel better. That is how I feel about this art. I didn't know I was missing this. But as I see these images, I feel so much more whole. I feel more present. I feel more centered. I feel all the feels. Like these beautiful women with their long-lived lives present in every wrinkle, every fiber. And then they have these glorious wings, and they are a part of me. It's like I didn't know I needed this. I didn't know I missed this. And it has brought something alive in me. And not just for me, but for other people as well. So if you haven't been on my Facebook page in a while, maybe go over there and look at some of these images and see what your experience is of them. Now, you might not have the same experience. To me, this is the thing that is so amazing about Midjourney. Each of us can go in and have our own relationship with it and create images that speak to our hearts. One of the really joyful things that has happened with Midjourney is my sister, she's 2 years younger than me, I sent her a piece of art that I thought she would like, and she loved it. And then she asked me if I could create some artwork for a friend of hers. And I said, sure. And we hopped on Zoom and created some together, and she was very excited about it. And then she asked if we could do that again. And I said, sure. And then she finally decided to get on Midjourney herself, and she has been having the best time. I'm not going to share with you her stories, but it is so funny to see what she creates versus what I create, right? Like we keep sending each other pictures and we're laughing, and mine are all angels and hers are a little more visceral, I guess I would say, and we're sharing this. It's so wonderful that we get to share this joy together, and we're creating these beautiful images, and we're teaching each other, and it is opening up a whole new world for us. And I'm also teaching a Midjourney class right now that has 5 people in it, and they're so excited as they post the art that they're creating and loving it, and each person is bringing something different to the table. So that's my ode to Midjourney, and these beautiful, beautiful, angel women that I am creating, or Midjourney is creating with me, I guess. I don't know how to even use that vernacular. We're going to need new phrases for all of this stuff. But I was saying to my sister, I feel like I'm an artist. I know that our culture has determined that an artist is someone who creates something like with their hands, or I don't even know what to call it, but I feel like I'm a Midjourney artist. I feel like that artistic soul in me has opened up, and it is so beautiful. So in Midjourney, the way it works is you put in a text prompt, and then the AI brings you back 4 images that reflect the text prompt. So I've been working with this prompt of, again, these like grandma angels, older women. And one that I created, I don't know if it was last night or this morning, is this woman, and she's fabulous. Like she's fabulous. She's the kind of person who probably has, 10 sweet and lows in her pocketbook, and butterscotch, hard candies, and she's just fabulous. And she has these colorful feathers, and in the 4 different pictures, it's like she's wearing a hat in one and glasses in the other, and I was like, oh my God, you know what this reminds me of? Like Bubby's in heaven. And just so you know, Bubby is Yiddish Jewish for grandma. So Bubby's in heaven getting ready for her driver's license picture. Like, should I wear this hat? How do these glasses look? I'm fabulous. And I just started laughing and in this joy of connection. And I find it remarkable that this AI can give me that experience. A couple of weeks ago, someone left a comment in one of my AI posts, and they said, AI art is soulless. And all I could think of is, are you kidding? There is more soul in these images than I have seen in a long time. And I'm not saying that art does not have soul. This is not me at all. I think artists are incredible what they do, and what they do for us as a society and individuals. And I have been so deeply moved by art my whole life. And maybe that's why I love Midjourney so much, because it's creating these snippets of my consciousness that I didn't even know I needed to see represented. Whether it's a plus-size angel, or a grandma angel, or a bubby getting ready for a driver's license picture, I am so happy. And I love getting to share that on social media. So I've been busy doing that big rabbit hole. And I can do Midjourney on my phone. So when I can't sleep at 3 a.m., I'm making Midjourney pictures while Wes sleeps next to me. And I'm so delighted. So I'm going to ramble my way into another random that is sort of connected. So all of these beautiful images of the grandma angels, I'll call them, they really had me thinking about my grandmother. So I only got to meet one of my grandparents. The other 3 had passed away before I was born. So the grandparent that I got to know was my mom's mom. Her name was Stella. I called her Nani. My brother, sister, and I called her Nani. And my 2 cousins called her Bubby. We called her something different. And she was a wonderful woman. And almost, I would say, was kind of modern before modern was a thing. She had a great sense of independence about her. One of my favorite stories about her, I may have shared this with you before, because to me it just embodies her, is she was spray painting some patio furniture gold, like metallic gold. This would have been back in the 60s. And she had spray paint left over, so she went down into the basement, and it's very common in the Chicago area anyways, that in the basements you would have all the pipes, the exposed pipes that are sort of running through the house, and she spray painted them gold. And I love that. I've often wondered if the people who bought the house wondered why there were gold pipes in their basement. She was an amazing cook, and I don't know. I loved her a lot. She passed away when I was 8 years old. So here's the story I really want to share with you about her as I'm looking at all of these beautiful Grandma Angel pictures. So she passed away when I was 8, so I really lived most of my life without her. So in my 20s, I had moved to Los Angeles, and I would go back to Chicago for Thanksgiving and other holidays, Passover, Thanksgiving, and as I've shared with you before, my Aunt Jane would always do Thanksgiving and one of the Seders. So I don't know if this was during a Seder or Thanksgiving, but it was at my Aunt Jane's house. So I was in, I don't know, my mid to late 20s, like 27, 28, and I wouldn't have had words for this back then, but the me who I am now will put words to what I was feeling back then, which was I was really struggling to feel loved. My parents loved me, my friends loved me, but I didn't have that special person, and I was really very conscious of all of my flaws, and the best way I would say it is I was sort of at that awkward stage of life where I was really struggling to feel loved. So my cousins or my aunt or somebody said, "Oh, we found these old slides in the attic. Let's look at them." And so they put up the projector and started going through old slides. And some of them were of Nani's house, my grandmother's house, which I remember because I was 8 when she passed away. And so we were all pointing at different furniture and what we remembered. And then a slide came up of her television. So again, this would have been the 60s. And it was a wood cabinet that would close over the television. And it was a beautiful piece of furniture. And on top of the cabinet was a photograph of my sister and I. There may have been a photograph of my brother and my cousins and I, but this is how the memory lives in my head. You know, those class pictures, you know? And so I would have been young. I would have been, I don't know, first grade. I don't know how old I was in those pictures, but I was young. But this was the moment that I had when I saw that up on the screen. It was, my grandmother loved me. She loved me. She has my picture on her television. My grandmother loves me. She loved me. And I don't know what it was about that moment in my 20-something heart that cracked me open to be able to feel that love, that she thought of me as precious enough that my picture was on the top of her television set. It was this extraordinary moment for me, intensely private. I didn't say anything to anybody about it. It's not the kind of thing I would have shared with anyone. But of course, now that I do this work, it's much easier for me to reflect back to that moment And now that I'm doing all these beautiful grandma angels and I see their faces, I'm reconnected with that love, that moment of knowing that my Nani loved me. She loved me. She loved me enough to put my picture on her television set. And my sister's picture was there too, and I'm sure she had my cousin. Like, we were all represented. I don't mean to make it sound like it was just me, but in that moment was for me. To help me remember that I had always been loved. I know not everybody gets to say that, but I can. I can. And then it makes me reflect upon my mom's house, and my mom had pictures of all of us all over. Started off with the pictures of us 3 kids and my cousins. Then my cousins had kids, and their kids were on my mom's refrigerator and on her mirror in her bedroom. And then the grandkids were born. So my mom's refrigerator was covered in pictures of the family. Everywhere you looked in my mother's house was a picture of someone that she loved. And she just didn't put up the pictures to be performative. She put up the pictures because they reflected people she loves. You know, I would come home and she'd be like, "Oh, have you seen this picture of?" And then she would name one of the grandkids. And you have to remember, my mom, for the most of her life, and for sure my grandmother, didn't have digital photos. You had to put some effort into getting a photograph to display in your home. You had to have the picture taken. It had to be developed. You had to get copies made. Like, there was a whole flow to getting pictures. Pictures were really precious. I'm not saying they're not precious now, but it was a different era, right? And so I come from this long line of women who loved their pictures of the people that they loved. And I don't really do that. My cousin Susie, though, who listens to this podcast, she has always been the family photographer. So, Bleadon, thank you, because I have pictures of much of my life because of you. And I appreciate it. And then, of course, you know, for much of my life, we didn't have digital photography. So I have boxes and boxes of, you know, old pictures that I don't even know the people anymore. I don't mean like old relatives, so I should hold on to them. I mean, you know, someone I met for lunch or something. But these Midjourney images, they're bringing this deep intimacy into my heart, even though these people don't really exist. They feel intensely personal to me. They feel like they are my loved ones. I don't know how to explain it. I miss the ancestors. I miss those who came before me. I miss being loved by them. I miss their wisdom. I miss their presence, even those I never met. And I think I feel them. And that is what these images are bringing back to me, is this sense of continuity. I don't know if this makes any sense, but it's a sleep podcast, so I'm going with it. So I think it's also why I love the community cookbooks so much that I read to you. These beautiful women who cooked for their families and their communities. When I read through these cookbooks, they're just filled with so much love. I can feel it. And I think of all of the mothers of my friends growing up. I just had a memory of this come up through a conversation that was happening on social media, and I was remembering one of the little girls I was friends with going over to her house and her mom, and I just remember the warmth of all of these mothers. You know, we would go over to their homes as kids, and they would just always be there. And there was always kindness. And I know not everybody gets to experience kindness as children, and I'm so sorry if you did not get to have that, but perhaps that's why I always share these memories with you, because maybe if I bring them into this space, you can feel into the essence of them and know that your inner child is always invited over, right? And we'll have snacks and Hawaiian Punch. I was thinking about how many of you are of the age where if it was your birthday, your mom would come over with like cupcakes and Hawaiian Punch. That may have just been a Skokie thing. I don't know. But it was not uncommon for the moms to come over with cupcakes and Hawaiian Punch. Was it for a birthday? I don't know. That would have seemed like that would have gotten really busy with so many kids, but maybe it was just for a holiday. But in my day, Hawaiian Punch came in a big can, and you needed this key can opener thing, and you would put a little triangle opening in one side and then a triangle opening in the other side, and you would pour the Hawaiian Punch from the can. They were pretty big cans. And then there would be cupcakes involved. I can't imagine they would do that for everybody's birthday, because that would ultimately become disruptive if you have 27 kids in a class. Maybe they came for something else, I don't know. But I always thought it was really special. Well, of course I did, right? Because there was sugar and food involved. And I didn't have to study. Oh good, we get cupcakes and Hawaiian Punch. My favorite kind of day. Put me down for more of that, please. That would set the scene for the rest of my life. That is so fun. Sorry, I'm cracking myself up. Have we talked about what an entelechy is? So entelechy is a Greek word that talks about the divine essence of something. And I became introduced to this concept at the University of Santa Monica when I was enrolled in their Consciousness, Health, and Healing program. So for the duration of the program, which was about 8 or 9 months, they had us exploring our entelechy through the lens of who have you always been and what has always been true about you. So you just witnessed it. I just connected the dots to another part of my entelechy. My favorite part of life is the cupcakes and Hawaiian Punch part. I want to skip over everything else. Can school just be cupcakes and Hawaiian Punch? A little bit of recess? Some playing? Art class maybe? I liked art class. Art class was good. Some reading. I love to read. That was my idea of a perfect day. I now have built my life around those themes. I don't do Hawaiian Punch and cupcakes because I don't do sugar, and Hawaiian Punch sounds kind of gross to me as an older person. But the joy, just give me the really good parts, right? I want to craft a life built around all the really good parts, all my favorite parts. And that's my life. How lucky am I? Angels, favorite part? Build that in. Right? Storytelling, build that in. Old cookbooks, build that in. Art, build that in. Oh, life is good. I'm so blessed. Grocery shopping. I used to love grocery shopping. It's a store with food. I mean, how could grocery stores not be my favorite thing? I remember during the pandemic when people were like, I can't go grocery shopping, I just do Instacart. I was like, I'm going grocery shopping. I mean, a store with food. Sign me up. When I grocery shop, I go to like 4 different stores because each one has something different that I want. And there was the thread of my truth all those years ago. Cupcakes and Hawaiian Punch being my favorite part of life at school. So here's to all the grandma angels. I have no idea where we've traveled in this episode. I really hope that you can follow, or not. Maybe this is so rambly you fell asleep like 30 minutes ago. So if that's the case, that's good too. But I just am trying to review. So we talked about Midjourney. We've talked about the print-on-demand exploration that I'm doing, which perhaps may result in something you can purchase at some point. How's that for an ambiguous commitment? We talked about all these beautiful grandma angels. I told you about my Nani. Hi, Nani. Opening up to love. And I saw that picture on her television of me all those years ago. And my love of Hawaiian Punch and grocery stores. There you go. That's my life right there, wrapped up in a pretty package for you. Pretty bow. Pretty package. So I love you. And while we've been talking, the sun has come up. So it looks like it'll be a lovely day. I see some blue skies, which look very nice. So I love you very much. And I'm sorry I was away for a couple weeks, but I'm back now. And we'll go on some adventures together. So you rest well. And I hope that the angels bring something to you that delights you. I don't know what it'll be, but they know. So I'll put in an extra order of delight on your ticket if you will allow me the blessing of doing so. So thank you so much. We'll connect soon. I love you, and I wish you the sweetest of dreams.